Hey lovelies, thanks for stopping by my channel today. I am so excited to be sharing with you this swatch party. Today we're going to be going over my entire collection of Sydney Grace matte single shadows. Yes, it is the day. I've been wanting to do an updated swatch fest for all of you. I have purchased a lot since my very first swatch video, and honestly back then I really, I didn't know how to work the focus on my camera, so I'm hoping that today is better. But if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist, and here on my channel I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Like I said, today is all about the matte shadows. I am doing all of my pressed pigment / shimmer shadows in a separate video, and also my cream shadows in a separate video. So I just wanted to keep this succinct and short so that you could see what you wanted to get out of these videos, and I hope that that's helpful. So if you do want to see all those, I'm not quite sure what order they're going in, but if you subscribe and click that notification bell, then you will see them. So Sydney Grace mattes are honestly in my top 2 matte formulas from indie shadow brands, and probably in shadow brands in general. I just think they perform so beautifully, they are priced right, and I love that I know that I can always count on the Sydney Grace mattes. I mean, really all of the Sydney Grace singles, I think that they all just perform well. It's not like a collection comes out and I'm like, ooh, these are drier than the others, or it's not like, oh, these are like a little bit less pigmented. I just think that they all perform really beautifully, and I do have quite a bit in my collection from the brand, whether it's single shadows, whether it is cream shadows, palettes, the new cream blushes, drool. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. So we're gonna dive into this. And just so that you know, all of these matte shadows that I am showing you today, I have purchased with my own money, and this video is not sponsored in any way. I just love the brand and I can't wait to share with you what I have. I'm hoping, of course, the Sydney Grace Christmas and July sale is right around the corner when I film this. I'm hoping that this just helps you in your shopping list curating. Let's get into this right now. All right, here we go again. Having a bit of deja vu because I have already done this once. Sadly, my microphone wasn't on for some reason, so we're gonna dive into this again. I get to do this twice for you. I'm not too sad about that, honestly, because, well, I mean, okay, I am sad about it, but last time when I did this for you, you'll see some of these are kind of like all over the place, and that's because when I did this, I discovered so many beautiful mattes that I just hadn't used in a while and or forgot about, that I actually pulled out my Build Your Own Palette companion palette. So this is, you can see it's missing some shades right now because I flip-flopped some of the mattes that I had in here to kind of change it out for the season. By the way, if you do want to know details of that little palette and how I created it and why, I will go ahead and link that down below. But today, we're going to do all the mattes here. So I'm going to go in a relatively organized color pattern. I will also, as with my shimmer shadow and my cream shadow swatch videos, I will list every shade in the description box in order that I swatch them by arm. So like once I fill up one arm, oh, I should take my watch off. Once I fill up one arm, I will put those down in the second arm and the third. So if there's a shade that you're like, oh my gosh, I love that one that was 3 down, the third one that she swatched, you can check the description so that you can build your wish list. I will also put a little asterisk by shades that I think are truly special and something I would highly recommend. I don't know what is available and what is not online because some of these were from mystery bags and may not be available, but I will do my best to just let you know what I truly love. Granted, pretty much all of these shades are amazing to me, and I'm just going to denote the extra special ones. All right, we're gonna start this swatch party off with the shade Legendary. This is a beautiful, slightly taupey gray. I think that it isn't the coolest taupe there is, but it's not neutral either. It's definitely more on the cooler side of things. I do really like that one. And then we're gonna move into Hazelnut. Hazelnut, I think, has a bit more of a brown to it. You'll definitely be able to see that. This is gorgeous. This is a beautiful, stunning, like cool, but not too cool. That brown that's in there just really helps, I think, make this more flattering on all skin tones. I should also say, for those of you that are newer to my channel, I tend to lean into neutrals and warms. I do like something that has a little bit of a neutral feel to it if it is a little bit on the cooler side. Oh, this one over that little watch band area is going to be kind of funky. This is the shade Enjoy the Ride. This is actually really pretty. This one is kind of coming up patchy, but it performs really well. Now, when I look at these three, I personally see a more taupey gray, a brownie gray that has a bit of plum to it, and then this one almost has a bit of like a cool gray green to it, but that's just me. So still, I mean, I guess I could have put this one in with the greens, but when I do that, it looks more brown. So then we have the shade Eiffel Tower. This I think came in a mystery bag. This one has much more of that purpley taupe to it. See there. I do also want to note, by the way, that I am just working on a clean, dry arm. If I feel like within the removal process my arm's getting really dehydrated, I will just spray some Fix Plus but let it dry completely so that we can keep going. Sometimes between the fingers getting really dry and the arm getting really dry, it just starts to like really be hard to swatch things, but I don't have any primer down and I won't be, you know, doing anything on damp skin. I'm actually going to move over into this row right here. I have one shade here, but I feel like that one's actually a little bit more neutral. So let's do Love and Happiness. That one is definitely more of a, oh, that's like super beautiful, like very rich. That one is more plum. I think that might have been a mystery bag as well. Then we have Beyond. This one's a bit more on the brown side, but a cooler brown. This swatching fest was really helpful for me personally in deciding what I wanted to pick up in the sale, because I'm just finding that I don't really have any like dead on neutral matte shades. So I do think I'm going to pick up the new Love's Long Journey palette just to be able to have some more neutrals. I could just shop the singles, but I do like the idea of just having some shades in a palette. This shade is Pecan Pie, and I think that one might have been in my very first Sydney Grace mystery bag I ever got. It's a beautiful shade. It's definitely more of a cool but neutralized brown. I feel like the one above it, Beyond, is a little bit more like plummy, whereas this one is a little bit more cool brown. Hopefully that makes some sense there. All right, I'm actually gonna move my way up, and we'll go up this way so that you can see some of these more like rosy plummy shades compared to these. This next shade is Sweet Jubilee. This is a beautiful, cool toned mauve. Definitely lighter than the other ones we have swatched. We're gonna start working into more of those lights. And again, I'm trying my best to do in the same color categories. It starts to get a little bit hard, but I am really trying. This one I know is actually gonna be a little bit warmer, but this is Lords of Leaping. This shade I really love. Very pretty, very saturated. Ooh, this next one is one that I absolutely love. This is Chocolate Raspberry Fudge. Such a good shade. It's a little bit cooler than Lords of Leaping, but they both, oh, they just perform on the eye so beautifully. Getting into the much lighter shades now, we have Bewitching Gaze. This is a cool toned mauve. I would say it's almost lilac, but it definitely has a bit more of that like mauve tone than a true like lilac purple. This one is Relentless Beauty. You can see that this is a bit more warm toned than the one previous, but in my opinion, that's still a fairly cool toned shade, very pretty. And then we have one that I actually missed in my in my last swatch video. This is Time to Celebrate. This was actually in my BYOP, my gratitude palette. So Time to Celebrate is our last one for this arm. So here we have our taupes and our cool tones. I will just give you a bit of a zoomed in look here. And then hopefully here you can see all of the swatches together. Again, they will be listed in order of swatching down in the description box. All right, moving into what I would call our warm pinks, kind of like salmons, corals, those types of things. This first shade is San Jose. I have seen this one in so many swatch collections, so this is obviously a very popular one. I think that if you are someone who has neutral to cool skin, or you like wearing cool toned looks, this would be really great to just buff onto your lid for a really quick, easy look. or to set a concealer or an eye primer. Also just one that almost works as like an eraser to blend out the edges of a look. But as you can see here, by the way, my skin tone, I would say, leans neutral into almost like a warm olive. So most of these will look a little bit cooler on my skin than maybe they would if you have like neutral leaning cool, or obviously cool tone skin. This one I absolutely love. This is Picking Peaches. Again, it's going to be a little bit weird over that little watch crinkle I have. This is such a beautiful shade. I'm not sure if this one is available or not because I do believe it was in a mystery bag of mine. So it just has that beautiful like peachy tone with just a hint of pink to it. I think it is so lovely. Definitely, you know, in my wheelhouse of colors that I enjoy. This next one is Satin Band. So this one is a bit more deep. And then I think it also has a bit of like a warm brown to it. Not a lot, just enough to kind of give it that rich hue. Satin Band. Oh, Rom Com, I think I got in last year's mystery bags. Oh my gosh, crooked swatch, sorry about that. So this one obviously leans a little bit more pink and almost like into like a warm red tone, I would say, if that makes any sense. Like that sort of like reddish salmon. Wow. I'm just gonna call it all of the things. Here I have Southern Flame. This one again is a bit more of like a warm, almost terracotta shade. Really beautiful, but it still has a bit of a pink undertone to it compared to some of the other more orangey shades we're gonna be getting into. Again, I think this one might have been a mystery bag. You know, part of me did not want to do anything that I was going to go through and literally research each one to see if it's available, but I think that this will be helpful for some of you who maybe have some of these shades and you want to see them compared to others. So I decided to keep everything in. This next one is The Next Chapter. This is a beautiful shade. I think that this might have been in last year's mystery bags as well, because I don't remember ever ordering one with this shade. It's beautiful. Definitely a warmer toned brown. Lovely, just a toasty, nice shade. Okay, this one probably should have been before this one, but that's all right. This is You Have Me. This is gorgeous. If you have green eyes, this would look so pretty, just to really like bring out that green because it has that bit of a red tone to it. All right, this last one is one that I don't know where to put it. This is Toes in the Sand. When I put it next to these, it looks more almost like a neutral leaning khaki green brown, but when I put it with the greens, then it looks warmer. So Toes in the Sand. This is a beautiful shade. I think that at some point this might end up in my companion palette. Just a really nice one. All right, here's one that I found in my last swatching adventure. This is Peanut Butter, and I definitely put this one into my companion palette. This is so wonderful. It's just that beautiful, slightly warm, nutty, you know, transition shade, beautiful in the crease for something soft. Not quite orange, but also not neutral. Just a really nice, soft, warm shade. And then we're gonna start moving into some of these like yellows and oranges. This is the shade Geese Laying. Geese Laying is just a beautiful, soft, buttery yellow. It's not as saturated as maybe, you know, some yellows are, but it's a very beautiful shade. It will be fairly soft once you blend it out on the eye though. So, you know, it's a yellow without like being a capital Y yellow. And then we have Mango Tea, a very popular one. This one is a bit more goldenrod, whereas Geese Laying is definitely that like true yellow. This is just such a gorgeous shade. Another popular one, this is Red Start. Red Start has a bit more of that like reddish orange hue to it, but still nice and soft. I think that these three are just like great summer vibes, fall vibes, like so good. All right, I'm tossing in a little neutral. This is Together Forever. This one probably could have been up above because I feel like it has a bit more pinky tone to it. But that is Together Forever. It's just one of those where it's like you put it in one row and it seems wrong. You put it in the other row, it seems wrong. And eventually you just have to give up. You just have to go with what you've got. Okay, Footprints. This is another one that I think I've seen a lot of. Very pretty. This one has a bit more of, I would say, like a peachy orange. So if you can see here between Red Start and Footprints, this one just has a little bit more of that like coral vibe to it. This is one that if you like warm tones and you don't have this, I highly, highly recommend it. This is Harvest. Such a beautiful shade. I mean, look how pigmented that is. I've actually had this one for quite a while and it is still just such a top performer. Again, this is one that I think if you have green eyes and you want something that is just going to help pop your eye color, Harvest is a beautiful one. Our next shade is Abundance. This is a beautiful, rich, I would say like medium toned brown. It is, in the pan, it looks pretty warm, but you have to think, I mean, next to some of these, it doesn't look quite as warm, but I think you can see, you know, it definitely has a little bit of warmth to it. Just a beautiful all around shade. Then we have Solomon. This is a stunner. Green and blue eyes will look really great with this one. It's a little bit more pinky in tone than Harvest, but both are just gorgeous, gorgeous shades. I haven't used Solomon in a while. I tell you what, like I said, I'm gonna have to really pull some of these out soon because they are just beautiful. Our last shade for this arm is Peach Fuzz. I think this was one of the first shades that I got in a mystery bag. So Peach Fuzz is a nice toasty warm shade. It does look a bit warmer in tone than Abundance, whereas Abundance has that, you know, warmth with a little bit of pink to it. This to me is just more of like a warmth with like a yellow to it, or even almost like a bit of olive, but not leaning into too green. So I'm going to start up at the top again so that you can see this San Jose. You can like barely see on my skin tone. It just looks like a cool shadow. There you have all the shades. Let's zoom out just a smidge. And hopefully I'm getting snippets of all of these for you on the screen. All right, now we're gonna start rolling into some of my favorites, the greens. So I have what I would say are more of these like neutral, maybe leaning into khaki greens, and then obviously green greens, and I have one blue for you. All right, so this shade, the first one is Camel. This is gorgeous. So with Camel, like I was saying about San Jose, this is basically San Jose for neutral leaning into warm tone skin. This is that shade that you can just blend all over the lid if you're just looking for, you know, a wash of color, or you're looking to set primer down, you want something to kind of blur out the edges of other tones. It's just that beautiful neutral leaning into warm shade. So then we have Toffee. Toffee is a bit darker and I would say a bit more into that like warmer khaki shade. I think that this is just so pretty. Next to Camel, it does look quite a bit warmer, but if I popped this like next to some of these other more orangey ones, it wouldn't seem quite so warm. But this is definitely something that I like to mention, is how some shades, like I personally feel like this shows up a little bit darker on the skin, especially once you build it up, than it does in the pan. And that does happen with a lot of Sydney Grace shades. They're just so beautiful and creamy and pigmented. So sometimes they just really like, they really show up well on the skin, you know, just like some of the creamier Natasha Denona shades. That just tends to happen. This next one is Dirt Road, and Dirt Road is a little bit more into the yellow side. So if you have more of a yellow undertone to your skin, or you're looking for something that just has that bit more of a yellow without being a yellow, if that makes any sense, it's a great one to have. Just really helps blur out some neutral shades when you're looking for still a little bit of that warmth. So now we have Backwoods, and here's where we're going to start really seeing some of those olive undertones. Backwoods is a bit more green based. These are all fairly light, but can definitely be built up. My hands are really starting to get a bit dry at this point, so some of these swatches probably just will seem a little lackluster. But Backwoods is a really great one if you want that like green khaki vibe. And then we have Relax. This is a gorgeous shade. Relax is a little bit cooler, but still in that green to brown category. I would say that this one is almost like greened out cement, if that makes any sense. I mean that in the best way possible. Like, to me, this is like cement, but that warmer hue of cement, not like a cool gray cement. The next shade is Enchantment. This is a beautiful, like dusky green shade. Has just that little bit of gray to make it, you know, more of that like earthy, grungy vibe. So pretty. I will say I feel like Enchantment has a bit more cool tone to it than some of these other greens we're going to be working into. I'm going to actually go up the other way, just so that we can kind of keep some of these murkier greens together. Then we have Trailhead. Trailhead might be in the Mountain Trail bundle. I will say that I do have the full Mountain Trail bundle in my collection. I got it when it was a bundle and not a palette, but I highly, highly recommend the palette if it's something that you're into, those like grungy greens. So this again is Trailhead. Moving into Rainforest. Rainforest is a beautiful saturated hue. You know what? I just put a little bit of Fix Plus on my fingers and let it dry just to try to like rehydrate my fingers. Let me see if that's gonna help us here with some of these other shades. No, it's not. Okay, I just thought like, wow, Rainforest really came up super pigmented. So I thought that maybe that was what had helped. But you can see Rainforest is definitely into more of that like rich evergreen shade. So pretty, really like that one, but it's not blue toned. It's just like your straight up deep green. Then we have General. This is another one that I really enjoy. General has a bit more yellow to it. So it's definitely on more of those, like, I would say like army green. Then we have Bravo. Now I always like putting General and Bravo next to each other because I think in the pan, or even, you know, when you like see them talked about, it's a little bit hard to know like which is which. So Bravo, if you can see, has more of that like green to it, whereas General has more again of that like army green, that almost like a little bit of khaki brown into it. Next we have the shade Kiss Me, I'm Irish. This is more of a Kelly green, I would say. It almost has a little bit of a blue to it. Yeah, there's just something about this that leans slightly into blue for me, but it is a very pretty shade. Then we have two shades that honestly are close-ish, and I will tell you which of these that I favor. So we have Green d'Anjou, and this one is a beautiful bright green. So Green d'Anjou is a beautiful shade, but it is softer, but you can build it up, but it's just not quite like that like super pigment. Now this next one is Electric Lime, and to me Electric Lime has a bit more of a white base. It has almost, again, a bit more of that like minty vibe to it, almost like a grasshopper drink. Try to build these up next to each other. See, like they're close, but you can see that Green d'Anjou has a little bit more of that like yellow green. This one's a little bit more blue green, and I feel like it has more of a white base. I think if I were to do it all over again, I would probably stick with Green d'Anjou and get rid of Electric Lime. They're both nice, but I probably just don't need both. So if I had to pick one or the other, Green d'Anjou would be the one for me, but I guess it's all in preference. All right, one more shade, and this is one I got in last year's Blue Mystery Bag. This is Crashing Waves. It's a beautiful, rich navy tone. I did use this in a smoky eye, I believe, and it is really nice. It is definitely just like your classic navy. You know, it's not too grayed out, it's not overly bright, and it's also not like that blue with a capital B navy. So I've just zoomed you in a little bit so you can see from start to finish, hopefully. And again, all of these do perform really well on the eye. It's just, you know, once you get to swatching so much, some things just don't look quite as saturated. And then here we have the third arm all together. Okay, lovelies, I hope that you found that helpful. Please don't forget to give this video a like if you did. It really does help me out here on my channel. You know, we small content creators, we struggle out here, and honestly, this one took some time to get together for you, but I loved getting to go through all of these, and truly, I was just telling a friend, I'm like, man, these swatching videos always help me just kind of remember what's in my collection, and so I'm sure that I'm gonna be building like some Sydney Grace brand specific BYOPs, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this shade, I forgot about that shade. So it is really reminding me of all the beautiful things I have in my own collection right now. If you have any questions, as always, go ahead and leave them in the comments, and I will see you really soon.